So I am pleased to introduce Nick McConnell. Welcome, Nick.
Hey.
So great to have you. And you are a current maintainer of Angband and been involved in Angband and variants since 2005. So
2005, yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
long time. So please take it away and talk a bit about what it's like working on Angband.
Okay, so before I start, I'd like to say big thanks to the organisers for just a terrific job of organising everything and being friendly and making everything work well. And also a huge thanks to all the previous speakers. There have just been a truly excellent array of talks. And my mind is kind of in shreds from being continually blown by all of them. So, you know, we'll just have to see how I go with actually keeping a coherent narrative going here. So I have always wanted to go to the roguelike celebration, and being in Australia, that's always been kind of difficult. But given it's online this year, this has been a good opportunity, and happily the organisers also approached me, or rather approached the current Angband maintainer, to see if I'd be able to give a talk. And so I thought, yeah, good, great, I'll do that. I had no idea what I was going to talk about. And the more I thought about it, the more I didn't really know what people would be interested in to know about Angband. So I thought, all right, I'll just run through a few quick things and we'll leave a lot of time for people to ask questions about things they're actually interested in. So that's the rough game plan here. And I hope I'll actually say some mildly interesting things along the way, but we'll see. And for those who don't know, Angband, I guess we've had it a little bit over the last couple of talks, descendant of Moria. It is, I am a long way from being an industry professional. It's a free open source game written entirely in large quantities of C and operated on by volunteers in their spare time, basically. So, thing number one, and here's where I'll talk about a little bit of history. Angband was developed from Moria in 1990 by some students at the University of Warwick in the UK. And it floated around the University of Warwick for a few years. And then in 1993, it was released onto the then fairly embryonic internet as version 2.4.frognose for some reason. And it then, you know, in those days, code was often not very portable. So then there was a port to the PC and a port to the Mac and things like this. And time went on and the internet gradually improved, and somewhere around about the mid-90s, Angband kind of had a moment where a lot of people were getting to play it, and it was a thing that was in the sort of zeitgeist of the internet of the time. But the other thing about it is that since it started in 1990, it has been in continuous development for that entire time. So it's a very interesting thing to observe, because I will put out a new version occasionally, and some of the comments that you get on that are, Angband, why would you change that? I mean, it was good already, wasn't it? And you don't know where to start with a comment like that, because first, I'm hoping that my new version is making it better. And also, I don't know which bit you're talking about was already good. Do you mean version 2.6 or 2.8 or 3.0 or what? I don't know. So a game that has existed over such a long span has a very eclectic range of viewpoints that people have of it. But, you know, it's still a great thing to be maintainer of. Okay, second point, and again, this is kind of a function of being a really long-term game. Traditions build up over how to play games, and so people play the game, they talk about it, the developers listen to what the people who are playing are talking about, they fix bugs, they incorporate new features that people think might be interesting. And so you have this kind of symbiosis between the game and its tradition. Angband had a particular twist on that because it was extensively modded in the 90s particularly. And so there is a huge array of Angband variants. So you had this constant process of people writing their own mod for Angband, releasing it as a variant, the original maintainers then absorbing bits of that back into the main game. And so you get this long interweaving process of the game and the tradition. And there's another very interesting thing that happened with Angband specifically here, where it was assumed for a very long time that the best way to play Angband was extraordinarily conservatively. So it's a big, long game. You have to dive to the bottom of a 100-level dungeon and kill the main boss, Morgoth. And it's very easy to die along the way, obviously. And so it was accepted wisdom that you would play slowly and carefully because you really didn't want to die. And so it made it a very long game, and that made people even more conservative because you wouldn't want to lose a month's worth of play because you did something careless, or you played when you were too tired, or your cat stood on the keyboard. And so this was believed for a long time. Conservative play, you've got to do it. Don't go below level 20 without having free action, that sort of thing. And then somewhere in the mid-2000s, some players started saying, well, no, actually, that's not the best way to play. It's not just boring, but you're actually better in terms of number of games you complete successfully, to play aggressively, to dive hard, to take down stairs as soon as you can, and to, sure, you'll lose some characters, but you can play 5 characters to level 20 in the same time as you used to be playing 1 to level 24. And so this is an interesting example, I think, of when the tradition has actually changed gameplay considerably, and that has in turn influenced the development post that, because rather than the assumption being that everybody will be being ultra conservative, the assumption now in development is that no, people are probably not being ultra conservative. Although, again, Angband is a game which fundamentally doesn't tell its players how to play it. So, there'll still be some doing conservative play as well, presumably. Now, Angband does have a long tradition. And on a good day, that's a wonderful thing. It's, I'm a maintainer of a game that's been around for a long time. It has a proud history in roguelike games and in games in general. On a bad day, that's all just baggage. And one thing that you can do which frees you from this baggage is to just fork the game, make a new variant. And, it can be themed around something. It can just have some tweaks that you like or whatever. And typically the community as a whole is very, very accepting of this. They'll be quite hard on the original game, and they'll complain about things that go wrong and so on. But if somebody puts out a variant, they'll be excited about it and positive and say, oh yes, there are wonderful ideas in this game. And by the way, you should know that every time you read a scroll, the game crashes, but they are still very accepting. So this is, people talk a lot about having a vision for a game, and certainly as a game developer, you have to have a vision and you have to have idea of what you should be doing. And you have grand plans, but very commonly you put your grand plans into effect and you put out the game, and some people will not like what you've done, and sometimes a lot of people won't like what you've done. So it is very good to get feedback, early feedback if possible. Something Sean Main said yesterday, he said one of the things that is most useful to do is do early playtesting, and putting it out to the players early is a very good way to get early feedback, and something I would advise for everybody. Best practice is getting stuff done. Yeah. So the whole playtest early thing is a good idea. Also, if you want to actually make progress on improving your game, particularly if it's an existing game that is out there, avoiding going down rabbit holes is a really good idea. Actually, it's probably even more true if it's not an existing game that's out there and if you're still developing it. I mean, you want to do it right and you want to do it well, but sometimes you just need to do it and get it out there. Final one, and hopefully leaving a little time for questions. Community. The Angband community is just awesome. There are, you know, we have forums, we talk on, we discuss improvements to the game, we discuss what's right with it, we discuss what's wrong with it. And so many ideas that I have had and that other people have had have been improved massively by discussion and by playtesting and so on. And the wider roguelike community I've particularly discovered over these last 2 days is also absolutely great. You people are all part of that. Give yourselves a pat on the back. You're awesome. And now, chance for questions.
Well, excellent. I would agree that the 2 days, this has been a showcase of a lot of the lovely people in the community. And yeah, we do have plenty of questions, more than we'll have time to get into, unfortunately, but we'll go through a couple. So starting with Evan Balster, who asked, what do you add or change in a game that's been mature for decades?
Oh, all sorts of things. So one of the things that happens about a game that's been around for decades is it can get a little ossified. You can get mechanics in it that no longer work the way they were intended to. So a good example here is you look at traps, and traps became a thing where, you know, the general idea is simple. You're walking along, you hit a trap, something bad happens. But then, so you had to work out ways for the player getting around that. They had to have perception where they'd notice the trap, or they have spells to detect traps. And eventually it had degenerated to the point where every character would get easy trap detection early on in the game. And now, what's the point? Everybody just detects the traps, and, you know, it's a press button not to die sort of scenario. So a few years back, we completely reworked the trap system so that traps were interesting again. And there are a whole lot of mechanics like that where maybe it started off in a way that worked, and it's gradually degenerated over time, or where it never really worked but nobody was saying.
Right, and a chance to de-ossify, to shake off the calcium. Excellent. I think we maybe have one more question, hopefully not too, a pretty quick one from Brett Whitty of, has Angband changed due to speedrunner interest? Is that something that's come up recently?
Not a huge amount. It's always been a little bit of a, you know, there have been competitions. There's a sort of an ongoing Angband competition thing, and that is usually judged by turn count. And so speedrunning has always been a kind of a thing to some extent. So it's probably not a new thing for Angband.
Right. It's just been a part of it for the history of it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, there are more